Sports specialist, Chris Ello, a KUSI sports contributor. You can follow Chris on Twitter at ChrisElloSD, ChrisElloSD. Chris, before we get started with the NBA stuff, in the 5 o'clock hour we were talking over the line. I made the statement that the over the line tournament is as much San Diego as the Padres and Chargers. Your reaction to that statement?
It's bigger than San Diego. It's bigger than the Padres. It's certainly now bigger than the Chargers. Yeah. Look, I mean, we're slowly but surely becoming a minor league city here right before our eyes. At least over the line, we decide a world champion here. So I think we've got to get behind and love our over the line. I mean, this is the best it gets in San Diego. Where else do we decide any championships of the world?
Point taken. Let's talk NBA. We start with CP3 going to the Houston Rockets for what will now be the latest super team that will try to knock off the Cavs and Warriors, of course. This trend of super teams, is it good for the league?
No, it's terrible for the league. It's good if you're the Warriors, and it's good if you're the Rockets and the Spurs and the Cavs, and then the other 26 teams, I don't even know why they bother showing up. Although I'm not so sure this one's going to work out as well as it appears to on paper. Chris Paul, to me, has always been a very good player, but also very much about Chris Paul. And if he plays with James Harden, he's going to have to learn to take a back seat to James Harden. James Harden's going to have the ball in the fourth quarter. Chris Paul's going to have to get out of the way. I don't think Chris Paul's going to like getting out of the way. I think Houston's going to be in for an interesting mix there with those two together.
Getting the Paul George is key to that. But let's move on. Phil Jackson.
He'll have to get out of the way too.
Yeah, but still, I mean, you need that third star.
Yeah.
That'll be next week's conversation. Phil Jackson got canned today. Is it proof that just because you're a great coach does make you a great front office person?
Well, I don't know if it's proof, but I will agree to the fact that Phil Jackson is one of the great coaches and one of the worst front office people. But at the same time, I think Phil Jackson almost kind of wanted to get fired from this job. I mean, the ownership that he was working for, James Dolan, New York Knicks, one of the absolute flat-out worst owners you could have in any sport. We saw it around here in San Diego. Spanoses were tough to work for. Padres ownership throughout the years. I mean, name them as they,
Hard to overcome a bad owner, is it?
It's almost, and Donald Sterling with the Clippers, impossible to overcome a bad owner, and I think Phil Jackson finally figured that out. It took him longer than I thought it would.
Let's go to happier news. SDSU's had a wave of local football players stay with Rocky.
You said it's never going to happen.
You know
because of the whole Qualcomm situation and the stadium situation.
A kid from Michael Oliver from Steel Canyon had this to say about committing to Rocky Lawn.
We want to keep pushing to get any local kids we can because there's so much talent here. Why not? Like we can make a great college team just like the U did back in the day when they all went to Miami. I mean, we might as well start something.
Start it now.
Start history. College football is going to be pretty huge in this city in about 2-3 years if you really look at it further down the future now that the Chargers are gone.
I stand.
Boy, Michael.
This is what this college needs: is build a wall. No
fence around everything.
Build a fence.
How about a fence? Yeah,
let's call it a fence. First of all, congratulations, Rocky Long, Oliver Justice, Scott. All those kids are going to be in our studio tomorrow at 5:45, I think, or 6:45, one of the other. But
good.
But I stand corrected. I said it. I thought
you said they wouldn't do it.
I thought the stadium would be an issue. Obviously, it's not.
No, it's an issue. Is the fact that they've gone 11-3 2 years in a row, won bowl games, and a couple of these kids are wide receivers. Yes. If you watch San Diego State play the last couple of years, they need some wide receivers. Yeah. So if I was a wide receiver and I was here, this is where I'd want to play.
Well, I mean, Rocky Long could limit his recruiting budget to Southern California.
Boy, Rocky.
And
I have so much faith. So much faith in Rocky.
Well, he is now the...
he's the kingpin.
Yeah, he's the kingpin.
He's the guy.
The Cubs, what are the odds of... There seems to be a little internal dissension with Montero calling out his pitching staff after he gives up 7 stolen bases. The backstop of he's out of work. The Cubs let their catcher go.
They let him go because he's, quote, a bad teammate. Yeah. That's what Theo Epstein said. He is a bad teammate. You don't call out your pitcher. You don't call out any of your teammates. I'm glad this happened for the Cubs. In fact, this might be the thing that galvanizes the Cubs. I mean, they've been looking for something to kind of get them back on track. Hasn't happened. They've struggled to find that magic that they had a year ago. This could galvanize them a little bit. Look at Yasiel Puig, for instance, with the Dodgers, and talk about a teammate. Yasiel Puig is a terrible teammate. You know, and then does what he did a couple of weeks ago in Cleveland. Major League Baseball today says, hey, you're all right. We're not going to punish you at all. Why didn't the Dodgers punish Yasiel Puig for flipping off fans? I would certainly hope if any Padre player ever did something like that Ron Fowler would demand that Andy Green get that player out of the lineup.
Do you think we're becoming so desensitized to the vulgarity on TV? Geez, driving down the highway, I get flipped off at least 3 times.
Well, you might be that desensitized to it.
Do you think it's just now not as big a deal as it was?
Maybe we are getting somewhat desensitized to it, but we shouldn't be desensitized to it. I mean, Puig does that. The Dodgers, Dave Roberts should have stepped in and done something immediately and benched that guy.
And you're disappointed that he did.
I'm disappointed that he did not.
Let's talk the NFL. 34-year-old former Heisman Trophy winner, 2-time Pro Bowler Vince Young out of football. His last stint was with the Calgary Stampede, or one of the CFL teams.
Yeah.
He got hurt, and he's upset in an article with Sports Illustrated saying that why doesn't he get a second chance when someone like Ryan Fitzpatrick keeps getting jobs? And
and Ryan Fitzpatrick's
fair or unfair criticism?
Fair. Well, Ryan Fitzpatrick is a mediocre quarterback who's now played for 7 or 8 teams, done a mediocre job for all 7 or 8 of those teams. He's a white quarterback. The National Football League will never admit it, but even though Doug Williams proved it, beyond a shadow of a doubt, he was MVP of the Super Bowl here in San Diego in 1988, black athletes can play quarterback. I still think the NFL has a problem with black athletes playing quarterback, and I'm not saying Vince Young should get a starting job somewhere,
but at least a look.
I think, a look for sure. And I think other black athletes who play quarterback are getting a short shrift by the NFL. No question about it.
One programming note, Chris, as your stint now is over. Thursday, we will have 2 guests. All 5 of those kids, those SDSU kids, are going to be, we'll probably have to do it out on the patio as we talk about what is looking to be a very good recruiting class for Rocky Long. And Drew Westling, the head football coach at Hilltop, is going to be in studio. He was a backup quarterback to Ryan Lindley back in the day. Drew is has a powerful story to tell, and we're going to share that with you.
Ask him about his game at TCU one year when Lindley got hurt early in the game, and TCU was top 10 in the country.
All right, I'm going to write that down. His name is Ello. My name is Rudy. Together, we are now finished. Back to Alan and Sandra.